Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us and sticking with us till the final presentation of the day. We're here to present to you the World Fit Games. Now, most of you are probably wondering, what are the World Fit Games? Well, it all came from an idea from Dina Carroll to create an event based on fitness sports. After seeing the global effect of fitness sports on both the commercial and normal sport model, she wanted to create an event that brought together the fitness community, the sports community, and the exhibitors. So she came up with the World Fit Games, and she solicited AISTS and us, the pioneers, to create the strategic concept for the World Fit Games. So we started with this, a blank page. Like all pioneers with no roadmap, only knowing our end goal was the World Fit Games. So ourselves, along with our client, came up with 4 key concepts to build the foundation for this event. First, the basic strategy, then the event format, then the business model, and then the market analysis. Each of these 4 components required individual methodologies, as they are very vast, and so we started with the literature review, which informed our basic strategy, our business model, and our event format. Then we moved on to benchmarking, where we spoke with different federations, different events, to understand the event format and the market analysis. Then we went to expert interviews with leading industry experts who started with the same blank page we did, and with each individual federation, because they're the best people to understand how best to present their competition format. To delve deeper into this, I will first pass you to my fellow pioneer, you, to lead you through the basic strategy.
Thank you, Megan. So first of all, we determined vision and mission to make it clear what we were aiming for. The vision is to become a #1 platform for the fitness sports. And the mission is to deliver a global fitness competition featuring education and exhibition. Also, as the word fitness sports can contain various meanings, so we defined it as a physical activity based on community, health, and functional lifestyle that encourage personal challenge, mass participation, and global competition. Then we analyze the situation of our client, market, and competitors by using several frameworks. For example, we have SWOT analysis here. So starting from strengths, the forward event have experience in organizing successful mass participation event, and they know the market and stakeholders in Southeast Asia region. On the other hand, they are still a small team and they don't have expertise outside of the region. For opportunities, the global fitness market size is estimated to be worth $595 billion US, and it is still growing rapidly. Also, the federations for these sports are still small and they're really keen to increase exposure. But at the same time, the event market is getting very mature and competitive. So based on this analysis, we summarized our strategy by using strategy diagram. So arena. So we will engage not only elite athlete, but also the global, local population with on-site event and also with the online platform before, during, and also after the event. Vehicles, how will we deliver it? The forward event will form a LOC, local organizing committee, with the host city and also with the event organizer. And staging. The first edition will be held in 2022 and every 2 years after that. Also, the host cities will be selected from all over the world. And differentiation. So there's no other event with a similar concept so far. And one of the essential aspects of fitness sports is a community. So it is very important to be a first mover to gain a competitive advantage and to build a community first by leveraging their strengths, which I mentioned in SWOT analysis. And lastly, economic logic. It will be funded mainly by host city and sponsors, and I will explain it more in the later section of business model. So that is for strategy, and I will pass the stage to Hugo for event format.
Thank you. I will now walk you through the design process of our event format. Starting with the event, we have benchmark. We can classify them in 3 categories. First, fitness sport competition, multi-sport competition, and fitness exhibition, and exposition. In the first group, we have Wodapalooza, iRock, CrossFit Game, and Ninja Warrior. We chose the most popular and the most active on social media because, as my colleague said, community is a key component of fitness. And it's also interesting to know that at this stage, we haven't found any significant multi-fitness sport event. In the second group, we have the World Urban Games, the Universiade di Lucerne at Napoli, and Lausanne 2020. They are all from the Olympic movement because they have the best know-how and experience in delivering multi-sport events. And our hypothesis here was that the World Fit Games would fit within the size range of this event. Lastly, fitness exposition. It's all about building our own knowledge of fitness, entertainment, and so on. So to be able to propose our client a complete program. From here, we were able then to propose a format that, again, as my colleague said, we will run every 2 years. That will be a week long, ideally aiming for 5 days. That will be within a clustered venue park, where ideally a spectator could walk from one end to the other. We want to have 8 to 10 sports and 1,000 athlete max. And finally, we will build a relationship with the local organizing committee in order to deliver the event. The aim here is to keep the event compact and manageable, because as a first edition, it's all about sending the right message. As stated in our mission, this event will be based upon 3 pillars. Competition in the center, supported by education and exhibition. Speaking about this pillar, we'll now go into detail of each, starting with competition and a video presenting our sports. Enjoy. Voila. Then, for each of these 7 sports, we have interviewed the governing bodies around 3 main objectives: getting the general feedback, the technical requirements, and ideally a preferred date. So for the first point, we got an overall positive feedback. They were all really keen to learn more about the event. They all see the sport in this kind of event. They nonetheless required financial support. For the second topic, talking about venues, we have the luck that our sports are quite good. They have a good synergy between them, so we have a lot of venues that are multi-use. And that resulted in a flat indoor arena, more or less the size of 3 basketball pitch. And ideally, we would like to have, for this event, an outdoor football pitch. In terms of competition format, they are quite flexible. Some even suggested the World Championship to be held during the World Fit Game. As governing bodies, they will submit their own athletes, and we are lucky that we should not exceed the 1,000 athletes that we had suggested. Lastly, about the preferred date, we were happy to announce that the first edition has been agreed for a spring edition ranging from March to May. They all agreed to that, so that's a very good point. Lastly, education and exhibition are the last 2 pillars. On one hand, we have education with discovery session, certification classes, performance and mind and body centers, and intervention from influencers and role models. On the second hand, exhibition, we will showcase non-competitive fitness sport, Zumba, yoga, so significant communities, which again is key. Welcome and farewell parties instead of opening and classic closing ceremony, concert, meeting and conferences, the exhibitor area, and we also like to suggest a startup contest for the tech sport part. I invite the evaluation panel to ask more in the Q&A. I will not extend more on that side, on that part, and I will leave the floor again to Tag for the business model.
Thank you, Hugo. So now I talk briefly about the stakeholders and financial model. For stakeholders, just like other major sports events, there will be various stakeholders around the event. For the event, host city and event organizer will form a LOC as a joint venture with specific roles and responsibilities for each. And also the athlete will be selected and sent by each sports federations, and they will supervise the operation of their respective competition. And for financial model, the total amount of the budget is estimated to be 12 to 15 million US dollars based on the benchmarking and expert interviews. And the main revenue streams for LOC will be host city, forward event, and sponsorship. The forward event will raise the fund from top partners who are the partners to grow the event together for multiple editions for a specified time period, like 5 years or 10 years. And after the event, forward event will receive a portion of sponsorship revenues as a profit sharing, and the host city will be responsible for the final profit or loss of the event. So for the host city, there will be a direct economic impact, especially on tourism and related industries. And more importantly, as a midterm or long-term legacies, this event will be a catalyst to inspire the population to get more active and to boost the participation in fitness sports, which will lead to a healthier and more attractive city. So that is for the business model, and I will pass the stage to Lucas for market analysis.
Thank you, Takano. We chose Singapore as our option A, right? That's the statement. But the questions really are, how did we get there and why Singapore? Again, starting from a blank page at the beginning, what really gave us a good framework was the sport and event hosting strategy from Mr. Jean-Loup Chapelet to think of the big picture. But we had a different perspective because we, as a research group of AISTS, had to put ourselves in the shoes of the client for the event owner, and we were not a city bidding for an event. So it's a pleasure for me to guide you to the 6 steps of our market analysis, and I hope you stay with me even after a long day of presentations. Step 1. Asia and Oceania was our predefined market, predefined because our client has a strong network there, and that played an important role for the first edition. We started with a pool of 50 countries. We excluded little island countries with low population and no venue options and so on. And we came up with a list of 24 countries to then go to step 2, the macro environment calculation. With 24 countries, we defined 3 variables. We looked at GDP per capita, population, and also political stability, to then in step 3, define together the 5 highest scoring countries from the macro environment calculation, being China, Japan, India, Korea, and last but not least, Singapore. With our 5 highest scoring countries, we moved to step 4, the qualitative analysis, which was shaped into 2 components. The capacity to deliver. We looked at delivery fee, potential partners, venue options, but also participation trends in the area. And then step 4 was also the point where we moved from nations to cities to then together with our client in step 5, where we pitched the major results of our market analysis, defined in step 6, the 3 potential host city candidates for the World Fit Games, being Singapore, option A, option B, Chengdu and Shenzhen, and might surprisingly for you, Lyon, because it's not in Asia, it's not in Oceania, but our client has a strong network there, and that's why it's the backup plan. So now, let's explain to you why Singapore in 3 reasons. Firstly, the National Development Sports Strategy, called Vision 2030, implemented in Singapore since 2012, Singapore is guiding and building the sports ecosystem successfully, and also Singapore believes in hosting sport events for destination branding. Singapore needs a platform, needs big events to show to the world that they have great venue options, good organization, public transport that works, and also waste management that functions. Coming to step 2, the Sports Hub. Speaking on behalf of the team, I think the Sports Hub speaks for itself. It's one of the largest sporting infrastructures in the world. In the heart of Singapore, a 35-hectare sports campus. And also, the Sports Hub has the know-how to host such a complex multi-sports event. And these synergies can be used to make this work for the first edition. And lastly, to round this up, let's have a look at the market. We can see that in the global rankings for recreational physical activity, Singapore is already on the 15th place. Constantly moved up the ladder in the past with almost 65% of participation rate. When we look more specifically at the fitness participation in Singapore, they have almost 20% in fitness activities weekly. And lastly, to give you a little bit of a feeling, the fitness market of Singapore is almost 430 millions. And that's a top 10 in the Asia Pacific area, even though Singapore is really a small country. And now it's my pleasure to hand over to my colleague, Megan, to round it off with the take-home messages.
Thank you, Luke. So, all this information, and where did it go? Besides the written report, it went into this, the pitch package. Now, scientific panel, you have a copy, but please don't look at it yet while I walk you through what's in it. First, we have the business model, the event concept, and all the sports. We knew from the very beginning that a forward event would have to actively approach the host cities. And so this pitch package is aimed to have a global reach. Whether we go to Vancouver, whether we go to Rio de Janeiro, whether we go to Lyon, this pitch package will help forward event approach the host cities. Then we move on to our recommendations. The first concept is the building block, but we hope that this event will grow on and get bigger. So with that, we would include additional sports and we would develop new competition formats with sports such as Zumba or yoga. Then we think cross-sport competitions could be interesting as there's lots of synergies between the sports. Athletes could compete in other sports, or you could create the ultimate fitness battle, creating an all-around event. Then legacies. Singapore has the possibility to host the first 2 editions of the Games. For this to happen, forward events and the World Fit Games have to create a positive and lasting impact in the city. We hope to do this by building on the Singapore Sports Hub and motivating the population and the youth to get involved, use the resources available, and training trainers in the city to build the fitness community. We also think this acts well with the Global Active Cities Initiative, which aims to promote cities that can host major sports events and mobilize infrastructure around the city. So we started with this, an idea that became a concept, knowing that we were going to Singapore because not only did they support major events, but they want events, they'll put money into events, and they're very excited for potential events like the World Fit Games. Then we focused on our sports, which are the core of this event: functional fitness, jump rope, indoor rowing, parkour, kettlebell, calisthenics, and obstacle course racing. Now we're here, between the concept and the planning phase. We've already started speaking with Singapore sports and international federations, and now it's time for forward events to take it to the finish line, and we can't wait to see you in Singapore in 2022. Thank you.